I want to share something with you that I learned from my badass clinical supervisor, Reva Simon. May she rest in peace. And I'm sharing this with you because it literally changed my life. And every time I share it with people, they have this look in their eye that I had, this like aha moment. Have you heard of transactional analysis? If you haven't, don't sweat it, just play along. So, transactional analysis, or TA for short, so think of us each having a parent, an adult, and a child part within us. Even if we aren't parents, we have a parent part, an adult part, and a child part. So when I ask groups of people, what do you think a parent does? I usually get strengths-based responses right away, like, oh, it nurtures and it guides, it protects. And then I start getting responses like disciplines or tells us what to do. And then I ask people, what does your child part do? And again, I get really super strengths-based responses like the child part is curious and playful and creative. And then sometimes people will say can be irresponsible, rebellious. And then finally I ask, what do you think the adult part in all of us does? The adult part is the CEO or the executive director. What the adult part does is decides between the adult expectations and the child needs or wants, what are you going to do? That's what the adult decides. What are you going to do? So, person A on the screen has a really big parent part and a smaller child part. And so, if I were to ask you to describe to me what's person A like? And who do you know in your life that is like person A? So, person A might be described as really responsible, maybe overly responsible, is taking care of everybody and everything all the time, maybe not having as much fun in life, maybe a little type A. Those are the kind of responses I get when I ask a group of people. Person B, on the other hand, what do you think they're like just by looking at them? And I usually ask people, no first and last names, no tagging. So person B looks a little fun, maybe not as responsible, maybe a little more spontaneous, carefree. If you look at person A and person B, it almost looks like opposites attract and they would do really well together, like they would balance each other out. So you would think. But then I ask, if person A and person B are working together or are in a relationship together, whether platonic or romantic, at some point, somebody is going to feel resentful. And I ask, who do you think is going to feel resentful? And what's interesting is the answer is both. Person A is going to feel like, I keep telling you, person B, what to do, how to pay the rent on time, what you need to do to finish school, but you don't listen to me. And then person B is like, you're not the boss of me. Why do you keep telling me what to do? Why do you keep talking to me like you're my parent and I'm a child? And so both person A and person B end up resenting each other. What if you are like person A, which I was, full disclosure, no shame. So if you're person A and you're a helping professional, and most helping professionals are like person A, and there's a really good reason for this. Most person A's have had to or learned at a really young age to take responsibility for everybody and everything just to survive, just to make things work in their families. And they sort of never learned how to shut it off. And it works so well getting through school and being successful at work that they just never stopped. And so my question is, let's say you're person A and you're doing person A stuff all day long at work. And then you go home and you're the go-to person in your family or in your friend network or in your romantic relationship. Like at the end of the year, how is person A going to feel? When I ask this to the group, it never fails. A choir in unison, people say exhausted, burned out. And I agree because I've been there. So what can we do about it? So what I learned is that if we baby step ourselves towards balance, and what I mean by that is the adult part in us does not privilege what the parent wants. It does not privilege what the child wants. It takes into account, okay, the parent part expects this, the child part wants this. What am I going to do? And proceeds in a balanced way for the most part. like fairly consistently. Then you find your balance. Living in balance feels so good. That means you're taking care of business, like you're paying your bills, but also you're having fun. So if you've been the big parent part for most of your life, then your treatment plan is literally have more fun, more joy into your life. And that's how you'll find balance. What happens when you're balanced? So as a helping professional or as a friend or family member, it turns out when we become more balanced, then we model and teach others, whether it's our clients, whether our clients are like 15 or 55, and we model and teach for our clients to be more balanced, using our adult voice to speak to the adult part in our clients and in the people around us that we care about. So what ends up happening beautifully is that they are inspired to balance. What they learn then is to exercise their parent part, and they learn to have more fun if that's the imbalance. Whatever the imbalance is, they learn to find the balance because you're literally modeling and teaching that. So what happens when you're balanced? You're going to draw and attract other people that are balanced. So not only do you model and teach balance, but you attract people that are balanced. And wow, isn't that the definition of well-being is balance? And isn't that the goal? Integration, wholeness, and balance. So what stops us? What gets in our way? There's a very good reason for this. The question we can ask ourselves is, what would it take? What would it take for us to baby step our way to balance? What if we believed in our clients? What if we believed in our loved ones? And what if it takes them an extra beat or two to figure things out once they're given the opportunity to practice? Can you live with your loved ones figuring it out or not figuring it out in their own time, on their own terms? This doesn't change overnight. If it seems daunting, I get it. So I would just say, what baby steps can you take? So in the next week or two, when you're going to make a decision, could you just pause and ask yourself, what does my parent part expect? And what does my child part want? And what is my adult part going to do that respects both my parent part expectations and my child part needs and wants? And then just see how it goes and practice that little by little until you're finding your own balance. One of the reasons I think that talking about self-care doesn't work as well as it could is because we are literally living our lives as if the noble thing, the right thing to do is to neglect ourselves. I feel like, again, we learned that really early on. And if we gave ourselves permission to be balanced, to be more balanced in our lives, then it's amazing how much we could actually accomplish, how well we would show up, like our energy and our presence for our loved ones, for our clients. Like, what would happen if we were actually more balanced? It seems counterintuitive, like, oh my gosh, if I stopped doing everything I do, the world would fall apart. Or would it? What if it wasn't all on you? What if we found our balance, attracted others who were balanced, inspired, motivated, coached, modeled, and taught others to be balanced? What would that look like? What would a community of people who were balanced feel like, be like? It's worth checking out, at least for me. What do you think?